Okay, we are ready.
All right, let's go. Welcome to the January 3rd, 2024 meeting of the Transportation Committee. My name is Jason Fromwitz and I'm the vice chair of the committee. Today, we are joined by Assistant District Manager Brendan Berth. This meeting is called to order at 7:03 PM. As a reminder, New York State law now requires all community board members who are not able to attend the meeting in person to have their camera on and their first and last names displayed from the time the meeting is called to order until the time the meeting is adjourned. Members of the public who are attending virtually, you can raise any questions or comments that you have through the Q&A feature of Zoom. Members of the public who are here in person, thank you guys for coming. You can raise any questions that you have by raising your hand. If there is time following the committee's discussion, we will field questions from the public. Larry is taking minutes tonight. Thank you, Larry. You're welcome. And we will now take attendance by roll call, and Brendan will be conducting the roll call.
Okay. Majed Abdul Samad, is out this evening. I don't see Michael Devereaux here. B. Desmond,
Present.
Rob Friedman,
Present.
Jason Fromowitz,
Present?
Matt Roberts,
Present.
Larry Shire,
Present.
Gabe Terzo,
Present.
Jerry Weinstein,
Present.
and I don't see Hyder Zaidi, but we do have a quorum.
Right. Lost my place. Okay, great. The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office and is reflected on the screen before you. If there's no objection, we will adopt the agenda. Members of the committee, if you adopt the agenda, please raise your hand. Seeing no objections, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. All right, moving on to minutes. Minutes from December 4th were distributed ahead of time by the board office. I believe there's an objection, Larry.
Yes, up there on the screen right now, I made corrections. The revised text is in yellow. The former text is in red.
And there are a couple of areas where you wanted corrections, I know, so we can scroll to those other places. So this is one of them. And I can scroll to the next area whenever people are ready.
If we go.
Okay. This is the second correction. And people can let me know when they're ready for me to move on to the third and final correction.
Yeah, Jerry.
I would add the Colleen piece that I originally wrote, and Brendan has in fact said that he would follow up with her.
Yes. So you said add?
That's my suggestion. Yeah.
Sorry, what do you wanna specifically?
The phrase Colleen, that sentence.
Last sentence.
Oh, I see. Larry, you have any objection?
Yes, because the stops that were removed are not in connection with this project. They were removed in connection with an earlier project. The problem is that as the
Right, it's not about restoring it as a part of that.
Yeah, but you still want Colleen to actually pursue this, whether or not you have that independent clause.
Well, actually, I think the board needs to make a resolution to request a bus stop at the entrance to Grand Central Terminal, because we previously had a resolution that kind of exceeded to what they've done, which is not good.
Okay, so can we settle on like? Colleen acknowledged the issue?
fine.
Or we could just take-
That's,
can we
that's
leave it
fine.
out?
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
I think so.
Are you okay with that? Yeah, okay.
Okay, and I'll scroll down to the third and final area, which is just a simple cross out.
All right, if there's,
And by explanation, this was a tangential discussion relating to the enforcement of the Second Avenue bus lane where MTA buses frequently stop. And really doesn't contribute anything to the main thrust of what we were doing at the meeting.
okay, do we need a second, Brendan, to,
I'll move that the minutes as
As amended.
revised here be adopted.
I second it.
thank you, B, all right,
Unless there are any objections, they can be adopted.
okay, great, unless there are any adoptions, from
Any
the,
objections?
are there any objections to adopting the minutes as amended? And presented? All right, seeing no objection, the minutes are adopted and they will soon be available on the CV6 website. Okay. All right, in order to conduct an efficient meeting, let's observe a few ground rules. No one may speak until granted the floor. Committee members who are here in person, if you have a question about committee business or you wish to make a motion, please raise your hand and I will identify you so you can speak. Committee members unable to attend in person, if you have a question about committee business, you may raise your hand through Zoom and I will identify you so you can speak. All committee members, it is extremely important that only one person speaks at a time so that members of the public watching at home can understand what is being said by each committee member. The chat function for committee members presents via Zoom should not be used for committee business or questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record by raising your hand through Zoom. Chat should only be used to alert us to any technical difficulties that you are having or to state in writing information like an email address that was already distributed aloud on the record during the meeting. Tonight's agenda. First, we have a application from Autom Enterprises for a intercity bus stop on the east side of First Avenue between 38th Street and 39th Street. Sorry.
I was able to take photographs at the bus stop on the way over to the meeting, and if Brendan can pull them up, we can look at that during the presentation.
Cool, that sounds good. Brendan, do you have those?
Yeah, I have the photograph.
Okay, cool.
That's right.
Do we have someone from DOT?
Well, it wouldn't be DOT, it would be the bus stop.
Okay, got it.
Yes, I-
Okay, sorry. Please, do you have any remarks prepared or,
yeah, basically-
I'm taking minutes.
Yeah.
If I can get your name and the spelling of it.
My first name is Saleh, S-A-L-E, Saleh, not last name Semi, S-A-M-I.
Okay, let me just check. SALEH,
H, that's my first name.
SAMI.
Yeah, that's my last name.
Thank you.
We are the family owner operator business, me and my wife. We're running a small 8 units, 2 motor coaches, 3 minibuses, and 3 sprinters. I'm in the business almost over 20 years, all this time in New York City. And my office located in Brooklyn downtown, right 5 minutes from Manhattan Bridge.
Can I ask you the corporate name?
Otom Enterprises, OTOMG, Otom Enterprises, INC.
Okay, thank you. Please continue, I'm sorry.
yeah,
So at this moment, we have 2 motor coaches. In the beginning, we just try to move students couple of times. And we have been notified in the DOT that we cannot pick up on the street. It has to be, you have to get a permit in order to do the charter line. from from Manhattan to Boston. So we are going from the east side, right from 39th Street. And going to by Bay Area, by the university is called uh, South Station, back Bay Area. And usually we did few of them and then we stop it. But we did a lot of work from this stop. It used to be Gold Bus Company. They used to do 10 to 15 runs a day. Now since Gold Bus is not operating anymore. And also Limo Liner and also other bus company called Lucky Star. And most of the companies they are operate from the west side between 31 to 42nd and downtown area. So this place is pretty much no companies being operated from here. And there's a lot of room because people on the east side, they travel a lot from the Boston back and forth, especially students or on the weekends.
Unless you have anything else, I'll open up the questions.
Yeah, a couple questions. This is your only pickup in the city?
Yes.
And what percentage of folks are coming from Queens and Brooklyn and Portland?
I think mostly people from city, maybe not more than 20% from the Brooklyn and Queens. The rest 75-80%.
And have the Chinatown buses that used to do this route, are they out of business?
No, it's bought by FlexBus.
Uh-huh. And we do know that, I forget if it's Trailways or Greyhound, that
Greyhound,
they're closing them across the country because of private equity.
FlexBus owns Greyhound.
Okay.
Interesting.
And they closed before COVID. Right now, nobody's operating from this location.
Thank you.
I've got a couple questions, real quick. You mentioned you were already, doing some pickups from that location?
Yeah, we did, in the past.
Where were you, marketing those? How were you obtaining those customers? You said they were mostly students, what university? Just sort of curious in like the background about like who's using the
Yes.
service.
We already work in a couple of universities, like Amit University in Long Island. And we have few charter run with we are also service provider of Fashion Institute of Technology, 7th Avenue. We are the official vendor for them. They took us from institute to there, then with their reference, we got so many requests from different university and this pickup area on the east side, go to Boston.
Got it. So do you intend to open it up to the public or is it primarily gonna be marketed to students?
We did few public too with the ticketing company and we got a very good response.
So what's your future plans? Is it to have it as a public route or?
Public route.
Okay, got it. And are you gonna be selling, like posting having a set schedule?
Set schedule.
Set schedule, okay. Sorry, I'll open up to the questions. Brian.
Hey, just wondering, how long do you anticipate the bus sitting there? And then, what instructions do you give to drivers about idling? Or if you hear complaints about idling, do you have a policy on that?
All right, the bus maximum not gonna stay more than 15 minutes. And the soon bus leave from the garage, because right after Manhattan Bridge, all our passengers, they will get alert and a live real location. Until the bus reach on our destination. And we, when we issue the tickets, it says strictly that the boarding time, maximum we can delay 1 or 2 minutes, not more than that. So passenger already know the bus is on the way. And idling, it's a 3 minutes idling line in New York City. And drivers, they are very well aware, they're well trained. Mostly my drivers, a few of them, they working maybe 15, 16, 18 years. And I'm in business over 20 years, New York City.
Larry.
Brendan?
Yeah.
Can you move the caption away from the photograph
You said the caption away from the photograph?
so we can see the bottom of the photograph?
The closed captioning.
Oh, okay. Just a moment.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Sammy, on my way over to the meeting, I passed by the bus stop. This is the bus stop you are interested in, right?
Yes,
Is this your bus?
that's not me.
Okay, then we don't know who is operating and laying up with a Yukon branded bus at this bus stop right now. Okay, when you have previously operated, I'm a little unclear. Has it always been on a charter basis?
We did charter and the public basis as well.
How did that work when you did a scheduled bus service?
Schedule, yes.
Okay, and who was your ticket broker?
Our bus.
Our Bus. Okay, Our Bus also is the broker for Coach Express MA, who this board on September 14, 2022 considered for this same bus stop going to Boston, or at least to Quincy. We had no objection to their using this bus stop, and as of today, I see them still operating through Our Bus. So it's not correct that there's nobody using this bus stop on a scheduled basis. You may not be aware of it, but there is, and they come a couple of times a day.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
Not in
I did my
Boston.
research.
To
Not
Boston,
in
to
Boston,
Quincy.
not in Boston.
Got it.
And they're in different,
These
schedules,
suburban.
different timing.
Okay, what time do you expect that your buses will drop off people and pick up people? And will they be both, in other words, when you arrive from Boston or you arrive from Brooklyn, you're picking up people, but you're not dropping off people? How is it going to work with your operation?
Basically, as we proposed, the first pickup going to be 7:30. Possibly, and 10:30 or 1, but at this moment, it's not going to be every day 2 or 3. Could be during the weekdays 1 or 2, on the weekend, on holidays, maybe maximum up to 3. When I spoke to the DOT, they said that if even any day you're doing it 3, then you should request it now. I said, maybe some days we are not doing anything, right nowadays.
That's reasonable. It's reasonable to ask for more, and
More options.
yes, I understand. Now, when you are asking your passengers to be there for the bus, do you have any particular instructions, such as they have to be there 15 minutes before the scheduled time, or else they may not make the bus?
Yes, 15 minutes. A part of that, most of the people, they have the app. And my back office, we use the ELD logs. And we have a database, and when the bus start moving from the garage, it gives a link on as a text message. They can track the bus on the text message, even if they do not have an app. And give them real time, most of the time, they know what's the ETA of the bus on that locations.
When there is a reason that the bus will be delayed, how is that communicated to the intending riders who don't have reservations, or they do have reservations?
Via email or text message.
They can do it by, because Our Bus is just a ticketing broker. They don't handle the operation. So
They don't.
you communicate directly, and you give the customers the telephone number.
We have the email, telephone number. Even our bus, they have to, if you have a downloaded app, it's very easy to send them a push message. A part of that, we have, we send a text message, and the possibility bus will be there.
Okay, but there isn't any tracking mechanism on the
There's a
app
tracking
that shows where the bus is on the
Yes,
route?
there is.
Okay,
Yes. As soon bus leave from my garage, every single customer, they get a text message where they can see a live real time tracking of the bus.
Okay, well, those are all the questions that I have for you.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah,
Yes, please.
confirm for me that this, you don't accept cash.
No, we do not.
I do have some comments about the bus stop itself and about that's all, you can sit down. And about the history that we have with the DOT. And if you can go back to the sign and show how faded it is. Back in 2022, we requested that the signage be updated so that I recommend that if we do have a resolution of no objection, it be provided that the DOT replace these signs with signage that reflects the actual bus operators, including you,
Yes.
by name.
Yeah.
And also the Coach Express MA, you've got 2 levels of sign panels, that should be sufficient. Top U Sightseeing does not use this stop and is not currently using this stop. So I don't know why they're there. And as it brought this up, like I said, the last time this came up, I move a resolution of no objection, provided that the bus stop signs are updated. I think we could also make a comment that, we are troubled by the lack of shelter and, services like a comfort station, which a real intercity bus stop ought to have.
Can we hold off on the motion just because we had another comment from?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Uh,
I'll hold that in abeyance, but it was,
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, question.
So I want to ask, will there be information provided about the bus services at the stop? And what is the largest benefit to commuters from this service?
One benefit. Even somebody coming from the east side, they have to meet all the traffic, go to west side, take the bus, go to Boston. If somebody living around here on east side, it's much more easier. In the past, 15 to 20 buses, I would be the research, more bus they used to run from the station. That means there's a lot of room.
You're adding an element.
Yeah.
It's needed.
and by the way, the top faded sign says Bolt Bus to Boston, which hasn't been since 2021.
Yes,
I think if I'm not mistaken, it's also a bit more of a direct route into that.
yes, you take that tunnel and straight.
Larry, it's coming from DOT. We will update those signs. So,
Thank you.
don't worry.
All right, great.
It's much more easier for going to Boston, this is on west side, is more traffic, always, going to Jersey, Port Authority. So east side is less traffic, you take a tunnel, 495, 295 and straight 95.
I've just got one last question. I'll go first, then you go. It wasn't clear where you're going to be stopping in Boston. Lucky, what, in the bus station, at South Station?
Yes, sir.
Okay, like where Lucky Star is.
We made 2 arrangements. So hopefully we're gonna go to, at this moment, we plan to, where, exactly, back area, that's South Station.
Well, some buses are still going to the street. You're not gonna be parking on the.
No, we're
street.
not.
Okay.
No, by law, you cannot cross.
Have you considered Port Authority here in New York?
Yes, I did, and I think they don't have a slot, and the way they're telling us, probably like for 5 years, they do some construction. There's not possibility to get a slot, the slot.
Okay, could we just get one more question and then, yeah, I would like to move this forward.
So what is the bus service actually called?
Actually,
What's your
What's it
brand?
called? What's a bus service called?
what you empty van. That's the name of the company, and this is the name, says on the bus stop, all the, label on the bus.
What do you think?
Okay, Larry, did you have, one?
No, just make the,
present that
mo-
motion?
I'll just make the motion and maybe add to the whereas that is represented by the applicant that the Port Authority doesn't have any bays for them.
And you wanted the, signage, the request for DOT update.
Yeah, and we can also put in the whereas that DOT has represented that they will update the signage.
Okay.
And then we'll have it in the resolve that it's provided that they actually do it.
Do we have a second?
Second, well,
Go ahead.
all right, I hate to do this, because I know we're kind of, but I don't know if we need a whereas, I don't agree that we need a whereas vis-a-vis the Port Authority, because I think it's an inherent good that there is a bus service from the east side.
I tend to agree.
Do you want to make some sort of a comment about that it ought to provide some sort of shelter from the elements? We approved one that was underneath the bridge by Tudor City, which.
Yeah, I would do
affords
it
some.
if possible. I certainly remember waiting in scorching heat for some of these buses, so.
I would perhaps suggest we hold off on that for now, in that there's some development at that site that's proposed in the near
And
future.
that's another issue. What will Colleen, what will happen when the formerly called Solo site, which is now the site of a beautiful art exhibit, becomes a construction site?
Oh, so when it becomes a construction site, we're gonna look for temporary locations for these companies.
And if it becomes something like a big casino, would you still have them stop in front there?
Well, we'll have to revisit that when the time comes.
I think that's a ways down the line. I don't know if we need to address that in the.
I don't think, yeah, we didn't, exactly.
Good to know.
It's good to think ahead.
But I think I wouldn't ask for the erection of any sort of shelter in that spot at this time, given the flux of the site.
A JC Deco type bus shelter would be nice, but you're not suggesting that we ask for it.
That would be my suggestion, given that there's probably maybe scaffolding, et cetera, coming up in the near-ish future there. But if you have a motion to ask for that.
Well, I'll ask Colleen, is it at all practicable to at least for this foreseeable future to provide bus stop shelters for this location and also for the M15 bus on the next block north?
I mean, Larry, we can review those locations. I know the numbers that we have for bus stop installation. I know it was, we met the quota, but I think we're looking at installing shelters in 2024. So, you can send me an email on that, Larry, and I'll find out.
We could also potentially pass the resolution support or in, BSC, I'll address you in a second. We could potentially pass the, no objection resolution, and then separately discuss a bus shelter there, if that would potentially be applicable as a separate resolution, asking for a bus shelter there or other, in other places.
Well, let me ask the applicant, did you have a request with respect to a bus stop shelter?
So definitely, that's my, even if we have some contribution, we are willing to do it.
Okay, B, I'd like to recognize you, please.
Thank you. So I would, for this resolution, not include the bus shelter because I think it's too temporary, what might happen. I think the important thing is no objection and the signage.
Okay,
I'm on board.
okay, great.
And since I made the resolution, it needs a second.
Yes.
Second.
I'll second it.
Okay.
That'd be good. All right, so I believe we'll take to a vote.
Yep, when I call your name, please say whether you are in favor, opposed, abstain, or abstain for cause. B. Disman,
In favor.
Brock Friedman,
In favor.
Jason Fromowitz,
In favor.
Matt Roberts,
In favor.
Larry Shire,
In favor.
Gabe Terzo,
In favor.
Jerry Weinstein.
In favor?
Okay, with 7 in favor, nobody opposed or abstaining, this resolution passes. We need someone to write it.
Thank you.
Any volunteers? Writing a resolution?
Well, I'm doing the minutes, but you want me to also do the resolution?
I could actually do it. I can do it. I'm doing the resolution. All right. All right, next up, we have Sammy's Law. Which is proposed legislation to allow New York City to lower speed limits without state approval. So for a little bit of background on this, this was proposed, I think, all the way back in 2022. It was introduced in the state senate.
Yeah, I have that on.
And it has been, for various different reasons, not brought up for a vote over the course of those last year and change. 2 years now. Basically, the law would allow New York City to set its own, to determine if it wants to lower the speed limit up to as low as 20 miles per hour as a citywide speed limit, or it would allow and it would allow the city to designate some areas with a speed limit of as low as 5 miles per hour. So the state law doesn't actually require the city to change those limits. It enables the city to elect to enact a law to do so. We previously passed a resolution in support of Sammy's Law. And I think Brendan has it. And so the question on, so given that this has not yet passed, the question at hand is there anything else we would like to do to either make any changes to this resolution that we had, to pass a new resolution to continue support of it, or to do nothing? I guess the concept was to bring this up for discussion, that this law still hasn't been passed. And is there anything we want to do as a board in the fact that it has not been continuing to support it, or anything else?
Okay, I'm a little lost. The status of the legislation in 2023 was that it passed already?
I don't believe it was ever voted on.
Yeah, 18 months ago is the last sort of, before the Senate committee.
Carl
That's it.
Beastie tabled it, right?
I don't know the details about who, but a year and a half ago.
Well, so procedurally, now that we're in 2024, does this have to be brought up again?
Presume.
I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I'm not ready to do a resolution unless we are clear about what we would be recommending, and not knowing where this stands. Maybe it's premature.
well, I believe it was still on the table as proposed legislation that can be brought to that could still be brought to a vote by, my understanding is the floor of, or the chair of the assembly, I think is where it's at, needs to bring it to vote, and they have not brought it to vote despite the 18 sponsors, I believe, of it. So I think what we would be asking for, and I think what the original resolution was to, well, I was in support of it. We could also add, we could pass a new resolution as opposed in pushing for it to be voted on and to be brought to the floor. I think my understanding is the bill is valid as it stands, and it would need to be, it just requires a vote.
If there's no specific reason to change what we approved last month.
No, it was
a year ago.
Yeah, it was a year ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so this was in the not in the current term, this S 524/A4655, that's not. Although it says here, it mimicking that. I'm not clear what we could add at this meeting what the full board had already approved.
So, and this is great, to do this for Sammy's Law. It's just that, most people that drive don't really drive to a certain speed limit, they drive to a road design. So, one thing we could add to this is, be it further resolved that if, the city fails to, adopt this legislation, or rather state fails to adopt this legislation, we move that the city, through the DOT, implement design changes on the streets that it does want to reduce the speed on, such as bulb outs, et cetera. Because the city has it in its power to reduce these speeds through design. So that's what personally I would add.
I'll just note I agree with everything you're saying. One of the objectives of the bill is to allow the city to drop the speed limit on certain roads up to as low as 5 miles per hour, which would presumably be on the roads where such safety improvements would be implemented. I suppose in the absence of being able to lower the speed limit, it would seem problematic to make it almost impossible to drive at 25 miles an hour, but yet still have the speed limit on those areas at 25 miles an hour. But yes, I would support it if the state we could not get this through in the state. I would support street redesigns of the same.
And then we have the vice versa, where the highways are designed to go 90 miles an hour, but the speed limit says 55.
Right.
So people won't have a problem with that. So I don't think we should
Yeah,
have a problem with the reverse,
that's fair. B, and then I'll come back.
So my comment on this is that we have a resolution. The resolution urges to pass the legislation. I don't see us updating this. I also have a process question. It hasn't been taken up for a vote. Do we know why that is being held up?
Don't think we have a official understanding of why it's being held up. Gip, did you have something?
Well, yeah, I believe it's Carl Beastie is his name, but essentially used his prerogatives to table it because he doesn't want it to be voted on because thinks it probably will pass and is using it powers available to his office to, prevent it being passed through sort of legislative, I say duplicity in public meeting, in sins of omission versus commission, maybe.
Or so
Well-
what is the benefit of us updating this when we're urging them to do this already? I don't see us changing it. This is already board policy.
Yes, I think the idea was to potentially reaffirm in some way our support for this bill and to put additional pressure on the legislature.
Yeah, what
to
is the
bring it to vote.
precedent of nudges?
But we don't necessarily have to do that. Brendan.
You could actually take, just as a point of information, you could actually take this resolution and circulate it again, our support, in a letter and stuff, without updating a resolution.
Yeah. One little bit of context that might be helpful for the committee as it decides what to do. I was curious, like, given the discussions, I was curious as to like whether our representatives in the Assembly and Senate sponsor this bill. Both of our senators, Gonzalez and Kruger, are co-sponsors. And both of the Assembly members who overlap with our district, Boras and Epstein, are also co-sponsors. So all of our state level electeds who overlap with our district are on board.
So from a process point of view, would it make sense to reach out to the aforementioned and say you have a new session? Does anyone want to champion this?
Would we need a motion to have the board office go back out to our electeds to reaffirm our support without passing a resolution? I don't know.
No.
To
No,
mail this.
the
We have a new board chair, and if she wants to, she used to be chair of this committee.
Yeah, the committee can just ask the board office to resend it to our elected officials, including to Hasty, who from like the Google searches I've been doing seems to be the bottleneck.
That sounds reasonable to me.
But just a question, because this precedes me. I'm presuming that we were referring to all motorized vehicles with this adoption? Like, what was the thinking when this was passed as a
Well, the motor
resolution?
vehicle law applies to all motor vehicles
Well,
plus
then
bicycles.
my only observation is because there is an exponential growth. In that, should that be anything to specifically articulate?
Well,
Because we do have the issue of motorized bikes and so forth, doing these excessive speed limits in bike lanes. That would be, and maybe that's just for another day.
I don't know of any situation where there's a different speed limit depending upon the type of vehicle. You know, the speed limit is an upper limit. It's not a mandatory speed. There used to be on the Long Island Expressway, a minimum speed of 40 miles an hour. Maximum speed of 65. Because they wanted to keep things moving and they didn't want to have people dawdle. That's not our situation here. I'm not quite sure I understand how having multiple speed limits is going to achieve an end. I do think that instead of having multiple speed limits overall, limiting the top speed for the different classes of lower powered vehicles so that the riders can safely handle the vehicles makes some sense, but that's not what's at issue here.
Okay, so it sounds like, oh, good.
I was just gonna say, we do have open streets now where the speed limits maybe are unchanged, but the drivers can't drive through them fast. So just to reiterate that the city is not helpless here. The city does have the power to implement safety designs to slow down drivers. And while I do support Sammy's law, just saying, okay, now it's a 20 miles an hour speed, it's not really going to change that much.
So to that point, I suppose we could look at as a separate topic, and separate resolution asking for certain road diet and designs in potentially specific areas within our district that we would like to see that in order to reduce the speed limit. And we could mention that in the absence of Sammy's law being enacted, that we would like to see these streets have changes done to reduce speed.
Jason, there already is something that the city has done when they implemented the shared street on Broadway between 24th and 25th Street. And that is a suggested speed limit of 5 miles an hour for vehicles that are going through the chicane. And that is not a legal mandate. It's a suggestion. And it doesn't require any legislation, apparently, to put that up. And it's helpful.
Yeah, I think that's a good example of a street design that slows down traffic on its own.
Sets expectations.
Yeah, and yeah, I think I think it would be great if
We're already doing it.
Well, that's just outside of our district, I guess. Within our district.
All right, well, how about 43rd Street going toward Grand Central, which is supposed to be a shared street? Is there such a sign there now? And if there isn't, we could make a service request.
Oh, that street. I forgot about that street.
No, we could make a service request. It doesn't require a resolution, I think. What do you think, Brendan?
Yeah, absolutely.
To put a speed limit, 5 miles per hour.
A suggested speed of
limit.
5 miles an hour.
I think that's
Shared
good.
street,
Yeah. Sure.
identifying it as such.
Okay, so it sounds like we don't want to do anything with this resolution. We're happy with it as is. Maybe
Good
we can
resolution.
try to get some redistribution around it. Potentially, we want to discuss other specific areas in a future meeting, unless you have something specific you want to propose tonight.
No, that's great, and that example you brought up is a great one where they also changed the color of the road. And also on Broadway, changed the color and signals to the driver that they're coming into a new type of area, and it does work and alerts people, so I think that's a great point.
Okay, so if there's no motions for anything here, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is report from New York City Department of Transportation.
Hey, everyone. Good night. It's Colleen Chatterton from DOT. Happy New Year. I don't have much to update the community board because we're still working on finalizing our safety improvement projects for the year. So once that is done, of course, we'll reach out to the community board to schedule presentations. So we do have quite a few projects in your district, just to let you know.
Right? Any questions for Colin? Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, Brendan?
Yeah,
I came here via the New York City ferry tonight and had the opportunity to take a photograph of the now opened Captain Patrick J. Brown Walk. And there are no streetlights currently, and probably for a very long time because it's been closed for 3 years. And parallel to that is the off-ramp for the FDR Drive, which might otherwise have provided some light. You can see that. Just 1 second. I'll have to call you back.
So Larry, did you reach out to EDC? Because you did mention this to me. You emailed me and I
No, my request was relating to 34th Street and we reached out to EDC through the board office, correct?
Mhm.
what about 34th Street again?
At 34th Street with the street lights out on the plan by the ferry terminal?
I need to check on that. We've been busy catching up on emails.
Is this open again?
Days.
Yes, I was there New Year's Eve. And
This
that's
is
when
20.
it opened last week.
Oh, wow, okay.
And Colleen, it's really, really hard to use 311 to report these lights out.
You know what, Larry, I think the board has a contact at EDC. Let them follow up with EDC.
This walkway, I don't believe is in EDC's jurisdiction, but in the joint jurisdiction of Parks and DOT. Parks to pick up the garbage and DOT to fix the lights in the pavement and the bench or whatever. And this was an arrangement that was entered into maybe about 20 to 25 years ago.
Wow, you have more institutional knowledge than I do on this, Larry. Brendan, why don't you email me the photo tomorrow and I'll find out about the lights. I see the Cobra, the city standard lights. Let me find out if those are out, okay?
Also, Colleen, just for your information, the arterial roadway running up past the Stuyvesant Cove Park on the elevated highway has a lot of lights out there too, going past 20th Street.
Okay, great. Send all that information to Brandon and I'll take a look at it. I'll have the guys.
He's got it, he'll forward it to you.
Yep,
Thank
I've
you.
got some catching up to do, but I'll make sure to get it to you. You'll
right.
hear from me.
And,
Thanks, Brandon. Brandon is good at following up with me, so.
And I commend this walk to everyone because the view is priceless.
I'm glad it's open. I did not know it was real. Where is it?
What street?
From 18th Street, you enter at Avenue C.
And then it connects into the
And goes around past the Pinch Point power plant.
Wow, thanks.
no, yes. Okay. So
Well, your call. Hi, Colleen, this is Gabe Churzo. I was wondering if we were to present a list of possible, via resolution, a list of possible streets we would like to see in Community Board 6 treated somewhat like Broadway was treated, sort of between 34th and 14th. Would that be feasible and something that could be, turned around in a reasonable amount of time, or we would need more political support from the top down for DOT to act on that?
I'm sorry, what streets are you looking to transform similar to Broadway? What streets are you talking about?
We're gonna discuss this in the near future.
I'll throw out one that I liked, that I've been thinking about for a long time.
I think you need to have a discussion with the community board first.
So we would start that conversational, and that would be effective. Is that what you're saying, Colleen?
Yeah, I think it would be best to discuss with the committee first.
Okay, but I think the question was like, if we do discuss this, how effective will that be in enabling DOT to act on any sort of redesign?
Well, in any sort of redesign, we would have to do our thorough analysis, which will take some time. But it's not to say that we wouldn't rule it out. If you have the locations in mind, I suggest that, the committee board members discuss it internally, and then, they can send us a resolution on it.
Okay, I think that would be a great topic.
Yeah.
Future meeting.
Yeah, because it would have to be posted on the agenda so that, residents in the area are aware of what the discussion is, so they can come and give their input.
All right.
Mhm.
Any other questions for Colleen?
I just want to piggyback on that. Do we have a case study, a postmortem debrief on how Broadway was transformed? Colleen?
So how Broadway was transformed was that it went to the community board. We got a lot of support there, as well as the elected officials. So it's the community board and the elected officials and the residents or businesses in the surrounding areas. There was a lot of outreach that was done. There was workshops that were done, numerous workshops over the years that was done to make this a final project. So it just didn't transform overnight, just so you know. There's a lot of steps involved.
All right, any other questions for Colleen?
Hey, Colleen, Brock here. You mentioned that there's a number of projects you have cooking for CB6. Can you give us any kind of sneak peek of what's on your mind?
No, Barack, I can't share with you that at the moment. You're such a tease, but but we do have some projects that we're cooking up in CB6. And again, we always have pre-meetings with the community board and the elected officials before we present it to the CBs. So yeah, you'll definitely be, informed of all these projects.
Thank you, Colleen.
You're welcome.
Anything else? Last calls. All right, moving the agenda forward, we have the chair's report. I just have a very quick report that we'll be working on upcoming budget needs verbiage in the coming weeks / meeting. There's some copy we need to get as part of the items that we discussed last meeting. Basically just like justifying it and explaining why we need it. We need funding for those things. So just keep an eye out for that coming up. And that is all I had from my report. Moving on to old new business. Does anyone have any old or new business they want to discuss? Nothing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
All right.
We'll be voting at the full board on this.
Thank you, sir.
I actually have an item.
Yes, go ahead.
Happy?
Thank you. Sorry
So-
about that.
Yeah, so I was just wondering, given what is happening throughout on congestion pricing, should we not look at our old resolution and have a discussion as to what we're thinking about? I think it's very timely and the impact certainly is within our community board.
Would you like to go now or I'm supportive of that if that's what you're
No, I would propose to put it on like our next agenda, pull up the resolution, take a look at it in relationship to what the hearings are and stuff, and see if we want to make any changes or any position.
I think it's a good idea. There's been a bunch of developments. I think the pricing the amount was proposed. We can
Right.
discuss that.
And some backtracking and some lawsuits, threatened.
Yes, yes,
So-
Larry.
We're currently in the public comment period. And that's a limited period of time. So there is some urgency to this. Any of us can provide our own individual comments through the portal that's been provided by the MTA, I believe.
Mhm.
And there are public hearings that are scheduled. So that's another opportunity for expression. If this board wants to have a position by that point, it might behoove us to at least take a look before the meeting is over at what we had previously said. Is that something that we can do, Brendan?
Looking at,
Or read through what we had previously put forth as the board's position?
yeah,
We can
just
think
give
about
me,
it.
just give me a couple moments.
No, not right now, unless you wanted.
Yeah, I'd like to look at it.
Okay,
And because it might spark the need to consider something in particular.
well, I do think it makes sense, if that's okay, to, as be proposed doing it at a separate meeting so that we have the opportunity for the public to come and comment on it. So I would propose that we hold off on reviewing it and we review it offline.
So the public comment period goes through Monday, March 11th. So there is another opportunity if the committee meets on February 5th. Would have to draft a resolution or comments prior to that to pass the board prior to the comment period. So February is a must, is a hard deadline.
March 11th.
So I think if we could find out past resolution and share it with everyone so that we're prepared for the meeting. I think there are some changes based on what I'm reading. And I think we have the opportunity in February and then even to raise it to the board in February.
Yeah, and the board office can share that, can circulate that resolution with the committee.
Yeah, and let's find a good summary of what's the latest developments on it to accompany that. We could work together to figure that out.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone have any other old or new business or any other resolution or proposals? Motions. Let's support us.
Motion to adjourn.
We have second, seconded. All right, the meeting is adjourned at 8 o'clock on the dot PM.